Good evening and welcome to Blueprint Explosive Exclusive. I'm Madhavdas G. A massive revelation that we have, viewers, today in the show. India's music sensation Zubeen Garg's demise on the 19th of September shocked the entire nation. Many raised questions over the sudden passing away, and most refused to believe that this was a cause of natural death. His fans were initially led to believe that this was a case of drowning or possibly a scuba diving accident. Some said that there could be a conspiracy behind his death. But now, the murky details are starting to emerge. The Assam police have arrested 4 individuals so far. This includes Zubeen Garg's manager, Siddharth Sharma, the festival organizer, Shyam Kanu Mahanta, and Zubeen's co-musician, Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, as well as co-singer Amrit Prabha Mahanta. 4 of his close associates are now being probed as cops continue to intensify the probe. Viewers, let's get you some of the exclusive details that we have accessed. Now, these are sensational details that completely blow the lid off the case. Times Now's access details of the remand note as prepared by the special vigilance cell in Assam, which completely nailed the role of some of the associates. The remand note states that revelations were made by a key witness in the case, Shekhar Jyoti Goswami, who's now also under custody. These revelations put the focus on the possible murder conspiracy and how critical moments were ignored, and Zubeen Garg was allegedly left to die. Let me take you through some of these revelations that are coming out. Revelation 1. The first revelation that we're talking about is that there was a conspiracy to portray the death as accidental. Revelation 2. Zubeen's manager displayed suspicious conduct, and also manager and festival organizer poisoned Zubeen. This is a big allegation coming in. A foreign venue was chosen to conceal the conspiracy. This is also a massive revelation coming in. The manager then facilitated Zubeen's access to liquor. There's also a revelation that they facilitated access to inappropriate company. Very serious charge that's coming in, and as far as supply of liquor, as far as supply of company is concerned. Now let's take a look at what the Assam police has said on record.
See, as of now, I can only say that the investigation is ongoing, and the 4 persons have been arrested so far, and their questioning is continuing. As far as I know, Singapore authorities, as per their rule, they have they had contacted the family members, and they will share the autopsy report with the family members only. And we have also requested Singapore authorities to share with us officially. I am hopeful that they will share it with us also.
Just last question, sir. So, as S.I.T have taken the 14 days custody for 4 of the accused, so is it like that if you are not happy with the investigation, or it might take some more time, so the custody time can be extended, sir?
As far as police custody is concerned, 14 days is the maximum that we can get as per the law. So we have taken the maximum duration.
Very serious charges that are coming out of this remand note. Of course, is at the preliminary stage of investigation. It's not a charge sheet by any means, but nevertheless, this gives us a clue into the line of investigation and what the police suspect has happened in this case. Very serious questions about whether it was a murder and not a natural death that now come out in the open. Priyank.
Yes, Sati Madhav, these court documents are removing the curtain from the speculation which is going among the mind of crores of followers of Zubeen Garg, who were mourning for his death, and they were not aware that what could have been the reason because of which his own manager has been arrested. Shekhar Goswami Madhav, who was a key eyewitness, who has now been arrested by the police itself, along with Mahanta, have been arrested by the police official because their role has also come up during the course of investigation. Viewers will be shocked to know that someone who was a manager, who himself started screaming that let him go while Zubeen Garg was drowning, it's itself showing that there was a larger conspiracy. The police official from the Assam police have claimed it before the court that they have found that there was a larger conspiracy because of which Zubeen was taken to an isolated location far away from India, where his murder conspiracy was hatched, and that's how, after poisoning him, he was allowed to go for swimming. According to wife's statement, it has been clear that Zubeen was not allowed to swim because he was getting strokes multiple times. He had got 3 times stroke, and he was not also allowed to have consumption of alcohol. But instead of that, Madhav, everything was allowed to him, which was a deliberate act. Now the police official have 2 more accused in their custody, whose questioning will happen.
All right. Stay with us because there's more breaking news coming in. Priyank, stay with us. Times House access further details of Zubeen Garg's last moments. As per the account of a key eyewitness, Zubeen Garg was literally left to die by the very same people he trusted, his own associates. The eyewitness also reveals that he knew how to swim, so he couldn't have drowned so easily. Here are some of these revelations that we are talking about. It's allegation because if there's indeed, a situation where Zubeen Garg was having a medical emergency and they mistook it as an acid reflux, this means that those around him very clearly failed him at this very, very critical time. Priyank.
Yes, Sati Madhavan, but these individuals who were staying in the close coterie of Zubeen Garg were the reason because of which he died. That's what the S.I.T has been claiming. It's a special investigation team which has been formed from the CM's office, Madhav. So it's a very high power, probe committee from the police official side, where they have mentioned it before the court trying to seek the police remand, that these individuals not only allowed Zubeen to go for swimming, they gave him alcohol, but while he was drowning, which led to his death probably, because the Singapore Police Authority have already submitted the post-mortem finding to the Indian High Commission there in Singapore, and which will be later on transferred to the state police. Okay. What eyewitnesses have said that these individuals let him drown, which could have led to death of Zubeen.
Thanks so much for joining us, Priyank, with that massive exclusive story that we've broken over here. Sources indicating to us and giving us the clear direction in which the remand note is headed and the investigation into this extremely high-profile case is headed. Let's quickly open this up and take it across to our guest now. Dr. Vikram Singh is former DGP of UP. We have Sanjay Sahai, former additional DGP of Karnataka. Khushbu Jain is an advocate in the Supreme Court, joining us. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. And let me begin with Dr. Vikram Singh. Sir, as someone who has served at the highest levels of the police in this nation, how much importance would you attach to a remand note? Now, we know that this investigation has, in fact, gone by for several days. It's not at the stage of the FIR, which is just the initial report. It's certainly not the stage of a charge sheet, which is quite conclusive. How much importance in that sense would you give to the revelations coming out of the remand note in this case? Dr. Vikram Singh.
Madhav G, good evening, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would say I would give great importance to the points given in the remand note because everything was not adding up. Thanks to you and your channel, you have been able to plug in very many loopholes to begin with. Have you ever heard of a case where a person drinks and goes out for a swim? One doesn't even go for a drive. Secondly, when a person has a past history of the fact that he was given drinks and without a life jacket, he goes for a swim. Observation number 2. Then Javedo, let him go, let him. What is the meaning of this? The first thing that you should have done, that he was no ordinary mortal, he was a VIP. He should have been resuscitated. He should have been given immediate first aid, rushed to the hospital. Why was this not done? Obviously, there is much more to it than what meets the eye. Everything now appears to be extremely suspicious. And I'm happy that the S.I.T has booked 4 people, the event manager, the manager himself, and also the 2 co-singers. But yes, the fact of the matter is, how do you are able to catch hold of a yacht and then able to take control also of the bar and feed drinks and then allow the person, a VIP, to go for a swim? I think the person who did this is a willing accessory to the crime and needs to be questioned, put across to the lie detector test, and also not only the lie but also narco analysis, because the truth ultimately, as I can say from my experience, will be much more bitter and gory than what has been brought up. And therefore, I'm happy that the remand note has been sent in a manner that which has been.
Right. Khushbu Jain, I'd like you to come in on this. Kasturi Shankar also joining us, a noted actress. Khushbu Jain, as this crime has happened in Singapore, there is an issue of the jurisdiction given the fact that crime has happened outside of India. It's also important from the perspective of the autopsy, as the police officer from Assam was telling us, because they are sending that autopsy report to the family members. How much of that will be acceptable and, would be admissible, A, in a court of law, and B, in this situation, if he has been advised to not, say, consume alcohol for health reasons, would such aspects, for instance, come out in that autopsy note, or would it be, present or absent in such a situation? And how much legal admissibility would this kind of evidence have? Khushbu Jain.
See, the point is very clear that the incident happened in the jurisdiction of Singapore, and that's where the courts or the police in that local jurisdiction will have an hold on the matter when it comes to investigation or when it comes to collection of any kind of evidences because of the location of the crime, that is the location of the death that has happened. Now, when it comes to Indian law enforcement agencies, see, we have got something called as MLAT, that is between India and Singapore, which is one of the key legal mechanism that enable collection or sharing of or coordination when it comes to evidences, when it comes to incidents like this. So if you talk about the part where S.I.T is formed, yes, S.I.T and the diplomatic support that can have in and formal permissions that come up, the documents can be shared, and these are very well accepted evidences for that matter. The investigation that can further go can be on the aspect of the people who can be part of it on whom you're claiming. But when you talk about material evidences on the crime scene or the evidences which are very relevant when it comes to medical reports and all, that would be by the Singaporean police, and from there is where you can seek those evidences. The law enforcement agencies can seek those evidences, and that can be provided in the court of the law. Even when those evidences are shared by the authority to the legal heir, the kin or the wife, the spouse of deceased, in those scenarios also those evidences can be put across and can be accepted as an evidence in the Indian court. But when it comes to investigation like this, I think we have those laws in place, and Singapore and India both are pretty much a part of the international law when it comes to sharing of documents or evidences in these kind of scenarios. And we have a special agreement within both the countries. So in that part, yes, but you'll have to also understand. Though it's not the question that you asked me, that whether those are autopsy report or what it will come into it, but what you have to see right now is it's still at a very pre-nascent stage, and evidence will play a very important role to understand that what exactly are we talking about. Because when you talk about criminal law, mens rea is something which is very important, a very important part, that you have an intent to harm or to kill somebody. Now that intent is where one has to play around, and these things have to be formed. Without any kind of evidence would be of no use, because you will have to give the intent, you will have to relate it with the person and then go ahead.
Absolutely. Sanjay Sahai, going by this eyewitness statement, is that alone going to be enough? As of course, the previous speaker was saying, you need to establish that criminal intent. And, facts such as, being supplied with liquor when his health condition was not permitting him to consume liquor, being supplied with inappropriate companies, one of the other sensational charges that are being made over here. Now, all of this at the realm of the stage of the remand note is one thing. Proving it in court, how challenging will it be?
At the present level, I think the whole thing does not add up to murder. So that is where it stands at the present situation. What has been put in the remand note is primarily what S.I.T thinks of it, which are the points of investigation, which primarily means that they have got 14 days police custody, wherein they will also use that time, or they will use that time specifically for the purpose of substantiating what they have talked in the remand report. Not necessarily that everything what they have mentioned in the remand report will turn out to be true, but those pointers have to be investigated with complete finality. What we are talking about is a medical condition, and we are also talking about Sharma having all the information with regards to the celebrity. We had all the information. He was taking care of him from 2014 or 2015 till 2025. Then the Khushbu's point comes into play as to what is the intention. So unless we are able to establish the crime with the criminal and substantiated beyond reasonable doubt, I don't think it will be very prudent even to charge it. Now there's one point which we are also missing out in this whole exercise, that public sentiments are on the boil. And those public sentiments are also, I think, one of the factors which would be playing on people's mind. And I was going through some of the reports, and the first two fellows, when they were arrested, it was put up in the social media by the concerned minister. Now, how much of that should go in that manner is a different story altogether. Should it go? Should it not go? I think that is an open question. Now, very important thing, if you try to piece everything together, from the time Zubeen Garg lands there till the time he finally dies, I think there's a huge amount of digital trail which which will be there. And that digital trade should be or would be more substantive to prove if we are able to get some more evidence.
Okay.
But linking it only to the medical condition, I think it will be a tough job, because you will not be able to get something which is very, very concrete, which adds up the two. And
Right.
if the autopsy finally goes for drowning,
Yes.
then the issue will remain.
No, you're
I think it has
absolutely
to
right.
be-
The S.I.T has its work cut out. These are only the preliminary direction in which the investigation is going to be heading. And I did mention that this is not final in the form of a charge sheet, but yes, it raises some serious questions. And Kasturi Shankar, the most uncomfortable question that comes out of all of this is that as a star, Zubeen Garg had so many of those aides close to him, associates close to him. It appears from this remand note that it was they who failed him, which is the most shocking part of this.
Well, I think as Mr. Sahai just said, I think we are letting our love for Zubeen Garg and public sentiment kind of drown out the voice of reason here. None of the people that were in his entourage were new to him. These are not people who joined him suspiciously in the last few months. They have been performing with him. Siddharth Sharma has been with him for a few years at least, as I believe. So it's kind of hard to just say these people killed him for some motive or not. I think number one, we need to wait for the autopsy report to be revealed. I am given to understand that it has been handed over to the Indian High Commission in Singapore. So first off, to stop all these speculations, we need the autopsy report to be revealed. If it says that Zubeen Garg was under the influence of either alcohol or narcotics, then absolutely, I would hold the people around him responsible for his death. And that would include his manager, his co-singers, and the organizers as well. But if it was something else, let's say he had a sudden stroke, or he just choked in the water, we need to know that. I would hesitate to say people around him failed him, except that video evidence shows that I think Amrit Prabha and Shekhar Jyoti, they were both swimming rather close to him. I would say they should have noted it. It didn't look like they were expecting it. To me, at least, it didn't look like they were expecting him to die. And, it was like a Cars movie kind of sequence where they're just waiting and watching a guy drown to his death. It didn't look like that to me. It looked like they were perhaps indifferent or negligent, or perhaps didn't even notice. It's hard to say that, but let's just say if there was alcohol in his blood, then it's a murder. I think that much we can agree on. But I wouldn't jump to conclusions only because out of the goodness of my heart, I'd like to believe that nobody would undertake a brazen murder in a public place.
Well, ma'am, perhaps those videos aren't as filmy as you like to put it, but the remand note certainly reads like a Bollywood pot boiler. Unfortunate as it is, the circumstances.
What they write an FIR, there are 60 FIRs out there. So they have to take into account what people have given as complaints, and that will be given in a remand. That means nothing. As a lawyer, I'm telling you, that means nothing. What the cops write in their first remand notes means nothing. The truth has to be investigated.
Well, Dr. Vikram Singh has a completely different view. Dr. Vikram Singh, does it really mean nothing? Is this just an attempt to muddy the waters?
Every single act done by the investigators or by the accessories or those around him matters. And it is for the skillful investigator not to be carried away by conjectures and sweeping generalizations, but to depend upon hard facts, evidence, both electronic, documentary, and physical. And having evaluated all that, taking legal opinion, then proceed, hasten slowly. This is too serious a matter to be guided by conjectures or wild allegations. But I have experience of investigating not dozens, but maybe about more than 200 murders. And I can have a gut feeling also. It is highly suspicious for a person to feed somebody with drinks and then allow him to swim without a life jacket, I think he has a lot of explaining to do. I'm not saying that he's guilty, but I would be thinking 100 times before I do a thing like that, because I know it's an incriminating piece of evidence. And as far as menswear is concerned, as Khushbu Ji said, menswear will come out automatically. It's just like flowering. The moment you are deep into investigation, you know who had what motive. And to have complicity, closeness, there are wives murdering husbands, husbands murdering wives, vice versa, fathers murdering sons and sons murdering fathers. Therefore, proximity leads to no alibi. And therefore, there are lines of investigation. Line number 1, this. Line number 2, this. Line number 3. And maybe after 10, 15 days, you have a clarity on the basis of evidence collected, statements taken, and on the basis of forensic and electronic evidence, you can say that, yes, this seems to be a credible way of proceeding further in the investigation. You're very right. It is too early to make early presumptions. It will be presumptuous on our part to come to conclusion right now. But yes, the possibility is distinct that it appears to be what I have just said.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for the moment. We'll have to see what the investigators have to further say, but certainly very, very sensational revelations coming out of that particular remand note that we've accessed exclusively right here on Times Now. I'd like to thank all of you, Dr. Vikram Singh, Mr. Sanjay Sahai, as well as Kasturi Shankar and Khushbu Jain. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.